guys ready for a little bit of semifinals Gwent here? These players are ready to go. They're getting settled in. Let's go over these decks once again, except for Morvran in this case. 7 different leaders, we'll say this time. All 5 factions represented, just like the first series of yesterday. Erica's Queen on Wang, on Wang's list.
Yeah, Wang's list is he's bringing in the Arrakis Queen, which is really interesting. And this is something that Malegian was talking about earlier about saying this might be the weak link that will get him through, because eventually you're going to have to convert with Arrakis Queen if you want to move on. And I think Malegian is very confident that all 4 of his lists should make short work of the Arrakis Queen.
Absolutely. Malegian not bringing monsters and is bringing Ada and a very spicy Philovander list. Let's take a look at the ban, see what the players wanted to play against and what they wanted to maybe avoid. It looks like Bran getting banned. Bran banned 3000. Bran getting banned by Malegian. Not going to play with that hyper-efficient deck. It's just Bran can make some magic happen.
And on Malegian's side, he's not going to be able to play with Ada. That big play from yesterday. No huge bird convert. That was...
How do you watch that highlight and not ban that deck? It was just, you know, it looked unbeatable. It was just... Panda, he left.
50-point cushions, man. You think that you're safe? Oh, no.
It's like baseball. No lead is safe. Right?
No lead is safe.
Now, these decks were pretty interesting, and if you have a chance, you can head over to playgwent.com, check out the Gwent library, and check out these decks, which have been uploaded. But let's go through these decks real quick. Check out this lineup coming in. First, we're going to look at Wang's lists. Now, these lists are alphabetically ordered, but on the Gwent library, you can't. Oh, it has actually.
No, we got them by provision.
In rehearsal, they were still alphabetically ordered. So this is how it would appear on your. This is how it would appear on the deck builder, which is fantastic. So. What do we see here? We see Erica's Queen, a very interesting list. Seems to be kind of playing around a wide strategy. 2 Shoop lists as well. Yeah,
there's 2 Shoop lists going on, and of course, you know, Shoop it had some fireworks in the quarterfinals. You know, some high rolling of Ragnarok. We saw some very you know, I don't want to call it efficient Shoop play, but you roll for what you want, and he got it. Also, you know, that brand list is going to be banned, so maybe a little bit of scared off by that muzzle, possibly stealing some things. But, you know, the Arrakis Queen, that is one I am going to be keeping an eye on, and for multiple reasons. I'm sure you can guess one.
One of them is the Arcaspor, perhaps?
The wonderful Arcaspor, we'll just call him the unofficial mascot of Gwent. Move over, Roach.
Let's flip it around. Let's take a look at Malegian's list. Now, Malegian not bringing monsters, which is very interesting, and is not going to get a chance to play Princess Ada. Ada did some pretty big work for Malegian, slamming the door on the 3-0 against Green Knight. But Croc on Crate will be played. Nice, strong Commander's Horn list, running Coral and Geralt Professional, as well as the spicy Philovander list.
Yes.
Nice big engines like Pavko Gale.
Yeah.
Shout out to Powell. And of course, the Yennefer Conjurer looks so good yesterday.
That was great. In the Philovander list earlier on, before we got to play today, some of the casters, some of the actual, were, you know, in some of the downtime, we get to play those lists. And I got to take the wheel with that Philovander list. And not only was I just cruising with it, but I was playing on ranked and I was facing a lot of the exact same list. It possibly testament to the fact that these decks are available at playgwent.com. The Gwent library is up there. But people are seeing these decks. People are liking these decks. People are playing these decks.
The Philovander list is really cool. And of course, there's a very strong mid-range Morvran. You guys got the list. These players are ready to go. I am ready to watch these games. Let's jump into it. Wang It and Malegian. Again, these are the bans players are going to be queuing in. What do you think there's going to be a lead-off here? I think with Malegian on the red coin, it's possible that we see perhaps Nilfgaard lead off, perhaps. Just really kind of strong. Able to keep up with a lot of early game stuff.
Yeah, I'd suspect that, you know, I don't know about Arrakis Queen on blue coin here, but I mean, eventually you're going to have to be playing that deck list. And that's what I'm going to be keeping an eye on, because as soon as you succeed with Arrakis Queen, then, you know, it's a whole new ball game.
Oh, it's actually Malegian's going to be leading off with the Philovander. So taking advantage of the red coin in this situation, because Philovander likes to have some early setup plays with the Dwarven Agitators, with Ithlin perhaps.
And Wang It finding the easy mode mulligan there, getting rid of a Witcher and Roach, and now there's a little bit of a you know, you could get spooky here and possibly go for the extra mulligan and maybe finding that 3rd Witcher. But he has Shoop in hand, so that's always good.
That's probably just a little bit too much. I don't think that he needs to risk anything at that point. And he's not really going to be drawing into too many doubles because he is reading Shoop. But it's going to be Shoop Morvran taking on Engine Philovandrel, we can call it, on Malegian's side. I'd say that this is a list to watch right here. Malegian made it look so good yesterday. As the Nilfgaardian Knight will come on down here, not boosting anything. Very good proactive play.
No, that's a great play to open up with. You're not, like I said, you're not donating any points there.
Our brothers in the
Nice. This is the strong leadoff here for the Filavandrel player generally. Having that time to set up, and of course, Wanged not really wanting to commit. Know that this early game dance is going to be a lot about hand buffing here. And again, you're tuning in, and if you are just tuning in for the first time this weekend, we are in a spectator client in which the casters, we are actually making sure that you can see everything that we are seeing. We can take a look at decks, and we can take a look at graveyards, but this isn't ready for the public yet.
But lightning pace to open this game, McBee. This is going a little bit crazy. Yeah, now a lot of Malegian's strategy with Filavandrel is a lot of it is just dumping cards, getting prepared for a longer later round. Notice how he hasn't played his Filavandrel yet to boost that hand, because that's a strategy he likes to use in round 2.
Now, we did see a lot of removal. The Wolfpack came down and knocked out the Dwarven Agitator, and then the Slave Driver came in as well, removing dwarves from the board, actually making it very difficult to play the Mahawk Volunteers for thinning, which is definitely what Malegian would have liked to have done here, because this deck tends to play a little slower and pass a little earlier than your average deck, just because of how strong the long round is. Not just because Filavandrel is stronger when he's able to activate his effect with a full hand on red, but also he's running a lot of these very, very crafty engines here.
Urja.
There he is. Finally seeing tournament play.
Of course, OP.
Malegian just going to go ahead and play the Mahawk Volunteers and not get the thinning, because he's got to play something, and his hand is quite strong. So he's going to opt out the thinning, just going to have to take a little bit of a mulligan risk. We'll see if that actually makes the difference, as Morvran drops the Witchers and Roach as well. Malegian probably is going to be quickly filing out of the auditorium here.
This round 1 for Malegian is literally just sort of, dumping some trash, on the curb and walking over to the next street. He's got no interest in seeing round 1 go through. So
it reminds me of old Skellige, but back way back when we had faction passes. Skellige would just always be better in round 2 and round 3. So sometimes you just wouldn't even play round 1, or you'd play as little as possible. So this list is making use of the fact that you won't get control of the game, but you definitely will have a hard time losing a point lead because of how strong these engines are and how threatening a long round is. You let these Hawker Smugglers tick for too long. You let this King of Beggars tick for too long. As Asira is going to go quickly down for the 9-point play, knowing that he's going to have to rush some points to actually put some pressure on Malegian before his pass.
Yeah, and tossing away, to find the wolf. That was kind of a risky play over there. With the dragon in hand, he could have had the Zeal on it, but he opted rather to throw it away. And he found the wolf.
He's got Ox in hand, and Serret, and Letho, and Shoop, and both ponies. Wow, Wanged's hand is absolutely nuts. It is, I can't get much better than this. Gimpy Gurren, Traherne, I mean, yeah, they're nice and everything, but really, I don't really think the hand can get much better for Wanged.
Absolutely. When you're rocking double pony power in hand, that's like some solid reach in terms of looking for points.
Solid horsepower.
That's some solid horsepower right there. And look at that, just, there again, so a little bit more information. So Letho coming down, and Letho's ability gets only better when you have Serret and Ox in hand, which he does, so he can see that the information is now, it's up in the air. You got the 3 damage plus the lock happening.
He's saying, hey, just so you know, Malegian, my hand's pretty good.
Hand is pretty good.
You can put him at least on the double Witcher combo, which was always good before Letho was buffed. And here comes the first engine the second engine really, as the Mahakam Defender is always going to get that bonus, that extra added synergy with Filavandrel.
This is a great target for Ox, in my opinion. I mean, you could drop it down, and thinking that there might be another Mahakam Defender in the hand, you can lock them both down. That is a nice find.
Traherne's going to take care of one of these, and also Wanged now knows what the draws are. Yennefer Conjurer is going into the graveyard. Didn't get a chance to shine at all in this matchup. Traherne once again scooping a key card out of an opponent's deck. We've seen a lot of this weekend.
Traherne has been MVP for sure. Finding things like Commander's Horn, breaking up the pony duel, tossing stuff into the trash. But not only that, but finding out also the fact that there's certain getting the information of the other 2 cards that could be possibly on the way down the line.
Yeah. So now he's playing around. I mean, the players do know the deck list at this point, so very real possibility. But Nilfgaard doesn't generally boost too high unless the Unicorn is on the high boost side. So I would say that Ek is probably a little bit less of a threat than Yennefer Conjurer would be.
Yeah, and if it doesn't get much juicier than this for Ox, I think you're going to be looking at locking down a 2-point generator every turn on the board. Now, I understand that you're bleeding your opponent here, but you also want to make sure that you're not falling way too behind. And there it goes. He comes down.
There's the Ox. Maybe, yeah. I mean, Malegian knew it was there. But at this point, Molegion is probably like, okay, I mean, Morvran is now pushing into round 2. There is a risk that Morvran is not able to get the card back at this point. And the bleed, Molegion hand could be a little bit better, but he still has some pretty key cards.
Speaking of card back, did you see that new card back?
Ooh, yes. We're gonna recap that pre-order after this series, my friends.
King of Beggars coming down in the back row for Molegion. Again, giving extra value down the road. You know, the other engines have been shut down. Something like King of Beggars, you know, is going to put some extra value if there's a round 3. If there's a round 3, of course, the bleed is going to continue.
I mean, the
over
hand
here.
is so strong from Wanged, right? Like, if he really wanted to go, second guessing that slave infantry play right now, but if he wanted to push, the strength is absolutely there. As Roach is now enlisted into the Nilfgaardian army, no one is safe.
No one is safe, and look at that. Look at that. Nice Wolfpack getting a little bit of love from the King of Beggars.
It's absolutely true. The Wolfpack being the weakest card here in Phil Evangel's hand.
And four provision 6-point card.
Well, you know, we're going to see a lot of those in the expansion, perhaps.
OP.
Right now, yeah. Right now we're there. The Wolfpack, a better Wolfpack already.
All it took was a little bit of begging in order to get that Wolfpack into the game and have an impact.
So at this point, Molegion is now he is now deciding what kind of engines am I going to be committing here, because I'm being pushed. This is very, very clear. The hand is very, very strong. Know that Serad is at least in the hand. And Molegion, if he wants to put Wanged on the best possible hand, he has to predict double Horsey and Shoop coming in to do all sorts of damage.
Absolutely, and I mean, like Pavel Berger himself, I mean, Pavel Gale is only good in long. The longer he's around, the better things get.
Well, he's training for a marathon, right? So he
that's
likes those,
it. Yeah, he's a marathon guy.
Right? He likes those long runs. Here comes Shoop. Shoop is going to be the knight, probably going to get a solid 12-point value of destroy an artifact, gain resilience, or boost by force. So no damaging effects here, but this could be carryover.
Yeah, the resilience factor could be very interesting. Also, if he wants to really pressure now, he could just go down with the 4 points, choosing instead to say, I'll see you next round, buddy.
10-point difference here. Sheldon Skaggs might just come. Well, Sheldon Skaggs isn't going to get the job done either. Sheldon Skaggs and Pavko will leave Shoop at 1, and it will be enough to gain the lead.
So,
but I don't think the push is going to stop here.
No.
I think that Morvran is he's putting the real pressure. Every choice that Molegion makes here is going to be indicating, you know, his hand strength and what he's able to do here.
What's interesting now is that, I mean, Pavko's got a nice solid target for that bow. Mixed with Sheldon, if you play the Sheldon now, you can knock down the Shoop to to a digestible number where Pavko can then finish him off in the next round. He is still down some points, but he is up the card. Sheldon, he's opting instead to maybe hang on to it for a bigger play in round 3. But it looks like there's going to be
the Unicorn's going to be boosting up the resilient Shoop here. Shoop is going to have to take, you know, the damage is not going to be enough to remove it. And there's a little bit of information as we see the protection come down on the Unicorn from Morvran, making sure that it's going to be very, at least Sheldon Skaggs can get, there's the extra boost. Keeping track of those buffs on Sheldon Skaggs, of course.
That is some top-tier play right there. You want to protect the pony, but at the same time, that's telling Molegion, you know what? You also have the Chironex in hand. That's 8 more damage that he has to take into account for this to, for factoring in for how much he wants to push, what he wants to commit.
All 3 Morvran charges.
Look at that.
Just absolute. Now, he knows that Ek...
well, he knew that that's still in the deck, right? So there's no instant way to just go drop it down and crush.
We're still in the same round. The trainer came down.
This has been a long round. I mean, the first round
was not there. He's playing. Yeah, he knows that that's not a threat.
First round was a practice round, my man. That was it. Just go in, throw a few cards down, get warmed up, stretch it out. We're good.
Molegion has quite a deficit to climb right now. 16-point difference, able to generate at least 1 per turn with Pavko. A decent board for Ockfist, and the consideration here. Sheldon Skaggs is not destroying anything. Ockfist, at least on order, will be able to gain a lot of value. But like I said, I think that Wanged is in this for the long haul.
Oh, for sure. He's telegraphed that a long time ago, using those leader charges, as well as he knows the deck list. He knows that there's no lacerate. So look at that giant lineup, that big Q in the background, all waiting to see more Ran.
Pauly Dahlberg not seeing a ton of play in this list. Actually doing very, very good. Just being, another engine, another order unit that's very hard to remove with that extra boost, and quite devastating because of the immunity. But of course, with the pony on board, nothing is safe. Nothing is safe. But that tanked for Ockfist.
Yeah, so Chironex came down, getting rid of the Pauly Dahlberg. But what this does right now is opens up the fact that Shoop is now vulnerable to a Skaggs Pavko dual combo.
It's actually a very great point. As we start to see the boost go on Sheldon Skaggs 1 more point up, the ping from Pavko will actually be able to remove it. But Molligen is a little bit more interested in the card right now than the carryover, because he knows he'll have to play another card to take it, so why not play the 14-point Sheldon Skaggs knockout, the resilience at the same time, and I think that's exactly what we're going to see right here.
So the question right now that I'm curious about is, if you got to commit one more card, is it dropping the Resilient, is it going to be about dropping Resilient Gabor, who on the front row will gain Resilience, which could match the Resilience of the Shoop down low over here, and then hitting the Pavko, so you're actually going up, and that seems to be the play. So you're hanging on to the 14-point swing of Sheldon, which is going to be a 16-point swing with the extra buff.
Oh man, yeah, I mean, Sheldon Skaggs is win condition, Gabor not so good in a long round. So holding on to it this long was, a testament to the push right here, and also getting more carryover. Well, actually, not more carryover. This one we're set to 5, but the important thing is that Shoop isn't getting full value in this situation here.
No, it's only that only translated really to a 1-point advantage off the Resilience.
Weak draws from Wanged there. Great draws from Molligen.
When do you really see another round going with 2 Resilient units? In this new wonderful world of Gwent, you rarely get to see it. The resilience on both sides, it's not a thing anymore that you see too often.
And if we did, we'd probably see a little bit more of our favorite Witcher, Lambert. Shout out to the chat on that one. I know somebody out there is a big fan of Lambert, so and if it's not in the chat, it's definitely Jagras. So in one way or another. But I mean, this hand is not fantastic from Wanged at this point. He traded a Magni for a Spearman, an Alba Spearman, which is definitely on the very, very low end of the Shoop deck. These are the cards that you put in just to fit in the good cards.
But at least that Alba Pikeman's going to be playing on the melee row for Wanged, which means that the Dwarven Skirmisher is going to have something to connect with.
Absolutely. I mean, yes, if he has a reach of 1, and of course the Nausicaa Sergeant, to make this reach work, he'll actually need to play the Nausicaa Sergeant also on the melee row, which, that Skirmisher, not the greatest.
Well, yeah, you don't have to play it on the front row, but I mean, the extra boost from that, I think he's opting rather to just protect it on the back row there.
Fair enough. So the Alba Spearman is going to be, it is still going to get it's still going to get the 4 points. It's not like other cards that have a conditional where they just won't ping at all. So at least he is going to get the 4 points out of that bronze. Gabor will be the target there, which means that the Skirmisher will be able to at least get some value here, but Molligen's hand seemed a little bit stronger. It's the Synthesis and the Sheldon Skaggs, which is just getting bigger and bigger. And also, keeping Shoop as the carryover means that Sheldon Skaggs was going to always have at least 6 points to dig into.
Yeah, that's always something to consider as well, is once that Sheldon Skaggs, it'll keep growing, but there is going to be kind of a little bit of a cap in terms of the damage that it's going to do, because you have to rely on your opponent to actually have tall units that you can go ahead and, meet halfway with.
So this Sheldon Skaggs is absolutely massive. The Lacerate and the Spearman just looking like it's just not going to get the job done here for Wanged. Making that push, trying to get the important resources out of Molligen's hand. He was still able to scrape together a pretty decent hand with the 2 bronzes on the low end, much better than the bronzes are doing for Wanged here, as Molligen is deciding, do I just play the Skirmisher? What really would Molligen be hitting with Skaggs if he's not hitting the Shoop at this point? So you could make a case to, I mean, he would be playing around. There is no Leo Bonhart to play around.
I mean, if you're not going to be connecting with the Skirmisher, you just play it on the back row. You know that your opponent is possibly has a Lacerate in the pocket. You want to limit that. Again, putting in the back row is really going to give only a 4-point Lacerate if that's the play. That's the play there. He's going to play in the back row.
A little boost from Gabor, getting actually just a little bit of extra value.
He says hello to his Dwarven brethren.
Oh yeah, and he's going to have one more boost as well from Sheldon Skaggs. I mean, do you want 4 points this way or 4 points this way? I mean, what do you do here? If at this point, Wanged is just looking to add these final 8 points, and Sheldon Skaggs is.
I suspect there's going to be a Sheldon Skaggs. Oftentimes, for instance, he did play the 2. The buff dwarves, the helpy dwarves.
The helpy dwarves, the dwarven agitators, yeah. They're agitating and they're helpful, as Molligen is going to be taking this first game here in the semifinals, surviving the push from Shoop Morvran. what was probably the best possible hand that you could have from Wanged. Molegen was able to keep that card. Didn't get last say, but ultimately didn't need it. Sheldon Skaggs just cleaned up the house there. Last rate did not come through.
That's right.
Weren't a lot of great options really left there for Wanged. I think Wanged was really hoping that Shoop would be able to get him those extra points, but Sheldon Skaggs just can't mess with that card.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of games in Gwent Open 8 where the round 2 bleed seems to have been looking good, and maybe just taking that extra step, just crossing the line a little bit too far.
We're going to be jumping into game 2 right away. Golden Crown here on Phil Evandrel. Molegen is now looking to secure win number 2. He will be going now first. Wanged will be going second. We're going to see a little bit of a role reversal here. Skoyatel coming in. Another Shoop list from Wanged. And finally the Morvran list. A little bit more mid-range Morvran rocking that Hand Marvin's Blue Dream for the first time we're seeing it here since there has been just a recent increase in provisions. That card saw a lot less play, but we're seeing Molegen believe in that. Again,
Letho finally finding some help there with Serret as well on the and as well finding
Molegen is the one with the fantastic hand. He has only one of the horses, but all 3 of the Viper Witcher clan, plus a little bit of extra insurance. He's running Vreemed, and we haven't seen a lot of Vreemed out there, but there are a lot of possibilities with Slave Infantry, and that is a very strong finishing play from Morvran, who is already very high tempo in general. The average play for Morvran is usually very, very strong. Nilfgaard itself, right now the identity just seems like tempo is very, very strong. Morvran has a lot of provisions, 6 guaranteed points, lots of protection. Brewer is also, in a very similar way, also a leader that can make a lot happen near the end of the game with that faction ability. As the tactical advantage quickly comes down on the Infiltrator here, and now Wanged needs to answer this somehow.
That Infiltrator has been a pain in the ass all day yesterday. It's been showing up on both sides. The melee ability of this, obviously, is that when the round is over, it'll end up in the other opponent's deck.
Now, you might be curious, man, tactical advantage being committed that early. Why might you do that? Well, Molegen is no stranger to Skoyatel's tactics. They play very slow. They play for the hand buff. They have some slow cards, and of course, Molegen does know the list. So Molegen actually trying to get a decent foothold here before Brewer might actually consider the pass, because long round from Brewer here, you see the Lacerate. Wanged is definitely into playing against a wide strategy, which is always beneficial in a longer round. Brewer, of course, makes all sorts of nasty combos possible with the Lacerate, and of course with potentially Shoop as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of points that can happen here. They know each other's deck lists. There's no real secrets to be had here. But Infiltrator still representing 9 points on the front row could be a pain in the butt.
Now, Leo Bonhard comes down. He didn't have a big target to destroy, but he did have a Witcher to destroy. And in this matchup, Synthesis is one of the only targets that you're really going to be trying to grab with, would only be one of the targets that would be above 7 points. So Leo is, it's very hard for Leo to get a target, so you might just take him for the 6, just in this matchup specifically. Lots of other matchups, specifically monsters, Leo does very well. Now Morvran with the pass, saying, Brewer, okay, you want to play slow? Well, you got to make up 8 points, and also it's going to be much, much harder for Brewer to do any sort of pushing, which Wanged seems he's not shy to do.
That's right, and without using any leader charges, you do have options like Milan, but opting instead to go with the Wolf Pack, and he can go down some cards.
Of course, the hand limit changes some things in Gwent these days.
Exactly. So again, and going into round 2, you will be drawing 3 cards, and there's nothing gets burned. There is a hand limit, so there's no real danger if you want to win a round down to 5 cards. Going into the next one, just knowing that you'll be drawing up to 8, you'll be able to play, maybe ditch a few, ditch a garbage card that you're not too happy about, and then move into round 3 at your own pace.
But it always helps when the cards that are quote-unquote bad are in a position to actually get you more value than normal here.
Oh, yes.
So Wanged is, in this situation, opting to spend low commitment cards because he knows he's saying that he would have to pass at this point early, because Morvran, with 10 cards in hand, will have just a fine, comfortable breathing room to take the lead and go into a long round 3. And Molegen's hand is fantastic, absolutely fantastic, as good as, if not better than Wanged's hand in the last match on his Morvran.
Yeah, he found the pair. He got the extra, the Thelma to the Louise of the unicorn there.
There is another bronze being thrown on the board, saying, "Okay, I'll play."
But look at that. Look at that. I mean, the
Infiltrator would be a really good play here if you expected a pass, but just in general, just stay ahead. Say, okay, yeah, I mean, You want to go? You want to push this time? I got lots of cards.
Yeah.
Brewer just can't take that risk.
I don't suspect that there'd be any way that Brewer would kind of push beyond this, especially without sacrificing any type of card advantage. Look at the hand over there.
Oh,
you have
so
all
good.
3 Brewer charges. You've got some lock-in movement. Both ponies. You got the point vault over there with, say, Synthesis. You know, you have so many options.
There's the Infiltrator. Once again, the Infiltrator is always showing up, but the Shoop is there. That's probably the biggest deck clogging that he would want to stop. The consistency to get Shoop here. So this is going to be a slugfest. Karnex and Unicorn and Mulligan's hand, all 3 Witchers, decent plays in Peter that may find value at least to on his side. Slave infantries tend to take damage, but still live.
You know what? That Infiltrator kind of reminds me of Milton from Office Space, where they keep moving his, his office into the basement and whatnot, and he keeps showing up.
Yeah, and then Traherne comes and steals your stapler.
Yeah. He listens to, he listens to his radio at a reasonable level. He's allowed to listen to it between the hours of 9 and 10. Just saying.
One of the best proactive plays in the game there on going first and around the Nilfgaardian Knight, coming down at a solid 6 points. A good target to be reset if you don't think you're going to be able to reset a huge boost. Proactive play here on Brewer's side. Ithlin for a little hand buff action here.
Yeah, they're just kind of throwing down cards to show that, none of these things are really all that committal. Obviously, on the Brewer side, dropping the Ithlin is a much bigger play, opting to put those points into the untouchable point vaults. There's no scorches in these lists. There's no worry about putting those cards there.
When do you think we're going to see Shoop here? Because we saw Shoop much earlier. When we saw Wanged play against Cams earlier on yesterday, we saw Shoop come down. It was about mid-round. He rolled a Ragnarok, and it was very good at that point. When you play Shoop Hunter, you have a chance of perhaps rolling the hand buff, which puts you on par with Philavandrel in some cases.
Yeah.
But you also have the option of dealing, a good amount of damage to the board. You're not going to get less than 11 usually, unless Shoop you roll the Skellige Storm on a row that has not a lot of. It's like one of the worst options, I guess.
I mean, you can always go for it if he just goes ahead and commits another point unit to the board. You can that is not necessarily too threatening. Something like if the Kyrenex comes down, it'll be met by a Kyrenex. But if there's another body that hits the board that you might want to get maximum value to, you could roll Hunter and hope for the damage 3 by 3 there, and walk away with 13 points, which is one of the high-end options over there. I mean, you could just try to roll a random row effect.
I'll just take this moment as well just to check on Prince Willem. Gold card in the deck is Sheldon Skaggs or Unicorn, so we don't know exactly what we'll see from Willem as Letho is coming for you, coming down to smash. To smash Ithlin off the board. Do like being able to look at the graveyard like that if I just have a moment.
Isn't that a great thing? What a great feature that.
It's actually I can't state enough how much mental space it affords you to check on these things. So we can just keep casting at a nice pace as the Synthesis comes out. Nothing's going to touch those points. These hands are so strong at this point. The Lacerates kind of sort of cancel each other out. The Lacerates will probably be equal in this situation. Brewer is able to, of course, manipulate the rows with Kieran on top of that as well. Here comes Ox. Not really a lot of great units to lock, so you might as well just keep playing, non-commitment before you can start making these huge power plays.
That's right, and I mean, like you said, the lacerates on both sides. Of course, Brewer has the advantage of lining it up and making an enormous lacerate. Depending on how Brewer sets up his units on the rows, I suspect he's just going to go, front row, back row, making sure that it's nothing even limiting the potential damage of that lacerate. And there's just, but again, X factor being Shoop, anything can happen.
Any one of these plays here. Here comes Willem, and it's going to be Sheldon Skaggs. Not what he wanted to see. He was definitely hoping for the Unicorn because he did take the immunity off Synthesis, preparing Synthesis to accept the boost. But he's going to get the 6 point, really the 4 point Sheldon Skaggs in this case because of the Willem being points on his opponent's board. But Willem does help out the lacerate a little bit. He does get those points back because he was going to lacerate that row anyway.
It's kind of like when you tell your kids, oh, we're going to Toys R Us, and then they take you to the dentist.
That's what Willem just did here, but a great target for the Slave Infantry. 8 point bronze, as the Slave Infantry is always converting. Now Vreemd at the best power we're going to see him at. Vreemd is not a card that we've seen a lot in the in the tournament so far, but very good. Kind of the old school soldiers idea of having a lot of the same unit and getting a lot of value out of it. So we're seeing that live on here in this Morvran mid-range.
Interesting to note also that Peter kind of sitting around, not really doing a whole lot. In terms of resetting value, you could reset the Knight to 6. On the other side, again, Say Synthesis just laughing at that Peter. You can't touch this. Little MC Hammer action on that one.
Looks like damage is going to go onto the Slave Infantry here. Now, because Vreemd could come down at this point because Vreemd is not going to get any better. Of course, you can save, you can play Peter as well to use, right now these units are damaged on board, but they may be gone afterwards. Of course, we do, there's a lot of damage pings available. Lacerate will be able to take out anything at 2. So this might just be the Vreemd play just to get the value out of it. Kind of like when you see a Gimpy Gerwin chant to get value, you take it.
Well, there's no other there's no other units on Wanged's side that really need an answer, right? So that Chironex is not really going to be, it's not being pressured to be played right now. So you want to make sure that you get the points with Vreemd as you do right now. He played them down, got the extra, the 4 points of boost on each of the Slave Infantry. And again, this is going to come down. I mean, if you're looking at Wanged's hand right now, he has the Karen, which comes down right now, and he's just probably just going to be setting up that big row in the back.
Yeah, he's just trying to get as many things.
Oh, no, he has decided otherwise.
Second guessing. Maybe
he hurt us.
Well, it could have been.
Okay, well, that was a good time to actually say that the players have like 7 layers of headphones. They're like in a space capsule on another dimension, so they can't hear us or anything. So that's never the worry, I promise you.
Gonna go for Mullane in this point as well. Maybe. See what he chooses to damage here, knowing that Peter is a real threat. You don't want to take too many points off the board. Of course, the Lacerate is going to be very, very strong.
Right.
You don't want to make Peter too good on the reset as well.
So Mullane's options, of course, on the range row could spread, just spray 4 damage across 4 different bodies. Otherwise, if she had gone to if Mullane was on the melee row dealing 4 damage, again, with the threat of Peter, you probably want to kill something, but by killing something entirely, then you're taking away some of that Lacerate value down the road.
Here comes Peter. Just going to go for the 6 points. Say, okay, well, the 6 point Sheldon Skaggs are really the 4 point Sheldon Skaggs. I can at least say, well, I'll get 6 points out of mine. And the Peter is a much cheaper card to get that value out of. And Molegion at this point has just got pure gas. All 3 Morvran charges should be able to protect whichever horse comes down first. And finally, the Lacerate is probably going to get at least 8 or 10 points, depending on.
Oh, it's going to be a lot more than that, if you ask me. I mean, there's so many ways that you can just line up.
Brewer's Lacerate is going to be.
Oh,
much,
sorry,
much
Brewer's.
better.
Yeah, no, Brewer's. Oh, that's my bad. Sorry, Brewer's Lacerate absolutely is going to be huge. On Malegion's side, yeah, now he's literally at the. He's at the mercy of how Brewer plays his units. So 8 points is likely all it's going to go. All he's going to get.
Sheer value. It's just Shoop Chironex Lacerate, Unicorn Chironex Lacerate. Shoop would represent more points. However, Molegion is ahead by many more points. He's got an 8-point lead at this point. Plus, the leaders are going to be canceling each other out. No Vryad Brigade, insane combos here. The Lacerate will be very, very strong, but the 8-point difference could literally be the difference. That Sheldon Skaggs instead of Unicorn, honestly, that could have turned this completely around. Sometimes you got to take that risk.
This might be, an option after. On that last play, you line up everything, you hit the Lacerate, perhaps you even use your Shoop, looking for that Hunter 3x3.
Molegion has to expect Unicorn being in the hand here. He didn't get a chance to see it. None of those reveals actually showed the best card that's in the deck right here. So he just needs to maybe just keep that on his radar. But that Chironex is the only way that would be destroyed is if Shoop somehow makes the most disgusting destroy random enemy high roll we've ever seen.
Well, we can cross our fingers. Who knows? It might actually come down to that. These players they're well seasoned. They know what they're doing.
Actually, Shoop Knight, 4 damage, Brewer, 6 damage, can't actually remove the Chironex here. Here comes the Knight. We may actually see it. He has to roll the damage option boost. There's the damage.
There's the damage option.
There's the artifact, which doesn't apply, so it's probably going to be the damage. He's probably going to hit the Chironex and then eliminate it.
No.
Not, in fact, doing that.
Well, going on, rather he's just looking for the 12 points clean. Maybe he just suspects that he'd rather value the Brewer charges to line up a Lacerate rather than bouncing back and forth with the Chironex.
Well, the Brewer charges lining up the Lacerate creates an extra 6 points, but if you remove Chironex, aren't you protecting 8 points potentially?
If you have the Unicorn, he might be suspecting maybe a bluff.
I am going to be asking some people about that play right there. It seemed like killing the Kyrenex would be. It's possible he's just going for the maximization here.
10 cards still left in Molegion's deck, so I mean there are odds that he might not have picked it up. It's completely possible. So I mean you never know. He could just be rolling the dice and saying, "I don't think you have it," but obviously he does, because there it is.
There's the unicorn. Looking pretty good. I mean, Wang at the same day, if I didn't draw my unicorn, it's possible that he didn't either. Here comes the Kyrenex. The last rate's going to be good for 8. Brewer is going to be good to get. Let's see if it's going to be. The Brewer is quite strong still. That's not, oh man, 28 to 50 though. Brewer will be able to take 6 damage and also move the units, adding another 6 damage, so 12.
There's going to be 16 on the back row if he moves. He's going to move 3 to the back row, getting 6 points from that. There's 2.
I don't know if it's going to be 20 points from this point forward, but the last rate is good. We're not going to see any Hubert shenanigans. This isn't going to be converting into a ton. It's going to be a ton game!
Boy!
Oh, I really thought that was safe. Sometimes when you cast, you just let the cards hit the board. My friends, we're still on game 2.
So this is going to be one of those we're gonna look back and say, was it the proper move to not eliminate the Kyrenex versus the points? Because even if it's a 1-point differential, that's the win. That's the loss.
That was a stay of execution for Molegion.
That was a
stay of execution for Molegion. Now Molegion is going to be raising his hand, so we're going to be talking a bit more generally about some stuff here.
Right, and there was definitely a bunch of options for how this could have gone. Like you said, the lines of play, those little micro decisions, it doesn't seem like it might be a big deal, but you're thinking about, okay, I can use those Brewer charges to line up a massive lacerate. I can also go down the route of using the Brewer charge to eliminate the Kyrenex, also removing the other 4 points bonus from the unicorn. There was just sometimes you gotta have all these different avenues considered, and he made his choice. He made his bet. He's got to sleep in it now, and we're gonna
have a regame here. We're gonna see once again. It's gonna be Morvran Shoop taking on Brewer Shoop taking on Morvran. Let's say mid range. Really solid list for Molegion. Nothing too outwardly spicy, but still just a lot of great value plays in Vreemd, in Peter Sargwenlev, the Viper Witchers. Henmarvin's Blue Dream can make some crazy stuff happen with the Unicorn and the Kyrenex. So we're going to have to see. I mean, those hands were really, really good. Like I said, it was a slugfest. It definitely didn't disappoint, as we're going to see the regame here. Once again, Morvran will be going first, as it was in the last game.
Yeah, a little deja vu. Looks like the same play. The Knight coming down, representing 6 points, keeping them all to himself, met by the Witchers.
This time, maybe Wang might not play as slowly, knowing that Molegion has no problem pushing big points in round 1 to force some decisions, because, I mean, really, making it so Brewer had really no opportunity to push in round 2 was the strategy around the early pass on Morvran's side. So it's possible we see a similar thing. The big plays here, double infiltrator in hand, big plays with tactical advantage are always possible.
There's some options over here. You could even, I mean, the double infiltrator in hand now, if you're just going to be looking at dumping cards, that could possibly even be a good play for Vreemd.
It could be a good play for Vreemd, of course. The double infiltrator, if it would live, I'm not sure if it would. It does usually warrant some attention, as a tactical advantage comes down here on the slave driver, putting him at a pretty decent score here, and perhaps we may see a similar situation with the early pass.
And that's the thing about the infiltrator as well. You don't necessarily have to kill it. You can also go ahead and answer it with a movement effect, which Wangit has right here with Raya Dragoon. And I mean, you can also just go ahead and use your Brewer charge if necessary. The Dol Blathanna Archer meeting the battlefield on the melee road, dealing 2 damage to the slave driver.
Dol Blathanna Archer is a really good card in the Monsters matchup, so we're seeing a lot of stuff like Malaine Dol Blathanna Archer in the Scoia'tael list here, and there is that same pass, although the point difference on this one is much bigger.
And now here, again, going down to 5 cards in order to assure himself the points, but he's going to have to use a...
Oh,
he's going down an extra card.
Well, 7 cards, it's still 7 cards. he's still going to have the 10-card long round. I mean, this is you know, like we said yesterday, it's a whole new world of Gwent. The strategies that are employed on the passing and playing in rounds is different now with the hand limit. And of course, this is saying that Brewer is not going to be playing any cards at all, trying just to stock up in the biggest, baddest hand he possibly can have. The Varied Brigade. Seems like he's not a big fan of holding on to that card, even though the finisher potential with Brewer and the Varied Brigade quite high.
Now, a dry pass coming from Wanged, but there are some actual, you know, impactful cards that he can just dump onto the board, like 2 Infiltrators that are not going to get any answer. They're just going to hit the board. He can just toss those out there, no problem.
Oh, it's going to clog the deck up nicely. Now, Shoop already in the hand of Wanged, but you still would like to not have Infiltrators being drawn or mulliganed into, and having both of them here to take the round. Easy decisions here, I think, for Molegian.
And taking a look at the deck of what's left to be drawn, that is going to get polluted by 2 Infiltrators.
Now we're going to see the mulligans. It's as quickly as it ended. We're already back in round 3. This feels very much like a little bit of vintage Gwent here. The nice long round 3. Instead, you know, this is kind of like the new modern open passing. It's playing slowly, making strong early passes, dumping some low value cards to try to ensure that you just have an absolutely strong hand. And I would say
this
that both players do have a very strong hand.
I mean, this looks familiar again, only the unicorn in one hand. Last time it was the opposite, right? That he did not get to pull the unicorn.
But look, once again, 1, 2, 3 Viper Witchers, and of course the unicorn and Kyrenex.
It's the world of the Witcher.
It's true, that could
it's just got to go through the trial of the grasses and you're good.
I remember when my wife played the tutorial for Gwent, reading Swallow Potion for the first time affected Witchers, and she used to say, "Are you a Witcher? Are you a Witcher?"
Just going through it. Yeah. Hey, everybody's got to start one point. There's a lot of complex keywords, or rather, you know, there's keywords that each card has, and Witchers are one of them. And you got Ox in hand, you've got Serret in hand, giving Letho some nice support from the back row.
Here comes the Synthesis, a nice strong proactive play, can't really be interacted with at all. Well, the Iflin was not being used in this situation for the boost, where it was in the last game.
Right,
but in this case,
Sheldon's in the hand, right?
Exactly where we were going. Sheldon did not really get a lot of value for Wanged in the last game. And of course, we're going to take this moment just to check Willem once again. Willem is a sure thing, the slam dunk Kyrenex. Willem is not going to take anybody to the dentist.
The horse,
in this game.
No trips to the dentist. The horse whisperer is going to do his little whistle and call him out of the deck there. But check this out. Both players have the Lacerate again, and all 3 Brewer charges are in, are locked and loaded.
This could be the Vreemed opportunity again, just going to go ahead and take that value when you see it. I mean, the hands of both players, once again, it just seems like big play after big play after big play, no real lock targets, no real solid ways to overly disrupt strategy, not a lot of engines really available. The Varied Brigade is a fantastic finisher for Brewer. This represents so many points as it double dips on each of those charges and movements. So each charge is 4 points on the Varied Brigade.
And here, it goes.
Well, in this situation, I guess that is not the considered finisher here. The Lacerate is in hand, so there are options, of course.
Now, I'm a little bit curious about this play. You could have hung on to this, I think. I mean, I don't think it's...
It just gave a target. Yeah, it gave a target to Letho here. Quick Shoop. I have no time to analyze that last play because we have random effect, random card from deck, and hand buff, all units in hand. I would imagine that the row effect, he's going to try to roll that Ragnarok again, right? He's going to get the fog. He's going to get that 12 value. That is going to be now the fog here, in case you're not aware. There it is. There it is. We do get the tooltip on the row effect here. So that's going to be ticking for 8 damage at least. It's going to maybe, anything row-based is fine with Brewer at this point.
And now Molegian understands that, at a certain point, it doesn't even matter where he's going to be playing some of those cards because Brewer's going to give him the old force push to the back row and then the claws. But, I mean, looking at the deck right now, at least the Peter's still in that hand, and there are going to be options for him to get a little bit of value Skags with the boost now. Say Synthesis likely going to be absorbing the Unicorn boost, so that's going to be untouchable. But Peter now maybe a little bit better than it was before.
Yeah, Sheldon Skags, because of last play here, Brewer is likely going to be able to play Sheldon Skags uninterruptible. But this and the boost for the Kyrenex, or the the Unicorn, is going to be going on the Untouchable Synthesis. So Peter looking a little worse here. Lacerate is always much worse if you are going, if you're not able to have a last say or have a lot of movement opportunities.
That sounds like a new version of Say Synthesis, the Untouchable Say Synthesis.
It's true. I mean, she is. I mean, like, Moligion's hand is so good. Wanged's hand is also just very, very good. Remember, that Willem is eliminated by Lacerate and 100% pulling Kyrenex. So both horses in hand, and it's just going to be, the Lacerate is going to be so much better at this point. I think Wanged is probably favored, even though he has a point deficit at this point by 12 points.
And really, the Willem is not going to, there's no detriment to playing it at all, because it's just going to get crushed by the Lacerate at the end of the play anyways, or at the end of this round anyways. So you can, those are points that you don't have to worry about giving up, because Lacerate dealing 2 damage to all units on a row, there's really, those are points that don't exist, technically. It's literally just practically a free tutor of the Kyrenex at this point.
And here comes the full protection from Morvran, all 3 charges, bringing our friend the Kyrenex up to 10 points. Once again, Brewer has the option to kill it, and maybe he might take the option this time. Sheldon Skaggs, I believe if you,
It's a Skaggs and two shuffles, as we say. Little
in the industry, we call it the old 2 shuffles.
The old
Skaggs 2-step.
Little moonwalk back and forth to get him off the board there. But that might be a place to go. But opting instead to play the Milan on the back row. No, he has
not committing.
Oh, okay.
Multi-ping.
That's the shuffle. That's the moonwalk.
Yeah, there you go. That's the Milan 2-step.
The Milan 2-step.
Actually going to go for the 4 damage straight up onto the Kyrenex, and is possibly, nope, just going to do the damage.
No.
Just going to do the damage. I mean, he's just going to go ahead. He just needs to get the value out of his cards at this point. That Lacerate does represent a massive, massive swing here.
I think possibly this might be a matter of him saying wherever that boost is going to connect with Skaggs, so I'll get full value off my Skaggs in this point. But he could have had it in the other option before. But again, it's going to come down to just really valuing the Brewer charges to get all those Lacerate points.
And the thing is, you look at these 2 different boards here. Brewer just doesn't really play the same, Molegion doesn't have the same opportunity with his Lacerate really at all. It's not even close.
No. I mean, Lacerate for Molegion relies on his opponent to, I don't want to say make mistakes, but set it up for him. He needs a little bit of an assist there for it. And there go the pony points into the Say Synthesis bank.
Peter does have an option to get only 2 points right here at this point. The Ox is not really going to find a target, so we may just see it being played as it is probably the least commitment play, the lowest commitment play.
And Peter, again, looking a little weak. Doesn't look like there's much happening with them, with Peter. Again, just kind of chilling out and waiting for an opportunity to shine, but that might not come. He might just be worth a handful, like a couple of points here and there, picking up his buddy Letho perhaps, or the Slave Infantry for a couple of points. But everything else on the other side of the board, all that boost is happening to Say Synthesis.
Here
and
comes
it's not
Willem.
going back.
Dropping that Kyrenex here. He's going to get full value on Vreemed. Molegion, the points look pretty good here. And of course, that damage on Vreemed, Peter can't reverse that. Peter can't make it any better here. So Peter's probably just going to be touching down. 5 points. Not great.
Doesn't he wish he was back in the days when he was 6 points?
It
was not too long ago that Peter was worth 6 points and Skaggs was also worth 6 points.
We're talking about the last round, right?
The last game, or the last round, but like the tie game. I mean, Peter came out as 6 points, Skaggs came out as 6 points.
It could just be Skaggs just might go for the full value on that 7-point Slave Infantry, and then from there on, it's just going to be all 3 Brewer charges and Lacerate. And I mean, the points look fairly comfortable for Molegion, but we just saw how insane the Brewer Lacerate finisher is. And I'm actually going to. I was excited last time it happened. I'm just going to let this play out here. But Sheldon Skaggs is looking to get full value right here, assuming that there's one more unit left in the hand of Molegion. You play your unit first, Lacerate last. Molegion's going to take his 8 points here, and then Brewer's just going to go to town.
Yeah, this lines up, but you're going to be sliding over Peter to the front row. You're going to be sliding over Sire to the front row, maybe Serret.
It's true. You do lose. Yeah, it's the Serret for sure. You might lose a point here and there on the Lacerate, but I just don't think it's going to make a difference. He's going to get an absolutely full
The
Full row
claws.
on the lacerate. Just a devastating finisher. This time, it saved the game for him and now closed the game down as we finally complete game 2 here. In the first semifinals match here, Chinese Wang taking on Poland's Molegian. Both players have now taken a win with Squayatel 1-1, and now we're trying to see a breakthrough game here. Perhaps from Wang going to maybe bring Morvran Chu back into the picture as he will be once again back on blue coin. Molegian might be more interested in playing his own move. We might actually see a mirror here as Molegian knows that the breakthrough deck is Erica's Queen. Krakon Crate does have a lot of cool interactions with Erica's Queen, just being able to take care of a lot of those 1-point units and pings as well.
So yeah, I'm with you on this one. Morvran on Morvran could potentially be what happens here, and I don't know if Araka's Queen, maybe he wants to go up 2-1 with the Morvran list Wanga does, knowing that Araka's Queen is likely his weakest link, but with that extra 2-1 pressure against Molegian, maybe that's a little bit of an extra edge that he can have, where his Araka's Queen could maybe punch through, once Molegian's under the gun to perform.
Both times Molegian gave Wang the long round in those Brewer games, and I wonder if ultimately there really was a choice there. In both times it seemed like it was going to be, and both times Molegian had just an absolutely stellar hand. We've seen some of the best hands you could have. Like, no one really had a lot of duds to worry about. Those infiltrators didn't really come into factor. Like, that could have, again, made a huge difference. But Willem just being able to get the Kyrenex out of the deck easily, just made it, just shut the door. Very easy.
I mean,
that lacerate to take the win there.
Things lined up for Brewer. I know that sounds a little bit cheap to say.
Of course they did. Of course they did. That's what happens.
I'm priming you all for Jaggerus.
I was way off. No more Van Mare, the absolute opposite here. Actually, Molegian queuing Croc into Erica's Queen here. This is a good pick. This is a good pick to lead in.
I am so excited, and there's the MVP right in Wang's hand. There's absolutely no way that he mulligans that Arcaspore. That's probably wrong, but I'm just saying it's nice to see my boy getting a little action.
I mean, he might keep it just because you want to have low commitment bronzes, and the Arcaspore is one of those cards. So it looks like the Arcaspore is going to see another play. Congratulations, Flake. You'll be casting Larry one more time. And we see Trusty Glusty in the hand of... This is the list.
We haven't seen this.
We haven't seen it. I think Trehearn got Glusty Warp, or Glusty Warp was just not drawn. Something like that was happening in the last one. But Glusty Warp is just an absolute carry of a card, and Wang didn't need it last time. Cams, however, had some bad draws. Didn't have a lot of point potential. Geralt Erden had, it was like a 4-point card. So Glusty Warp not really needed to shut down as the Wild Hunt Riders come storming out of the deck here. We haven't seen a lot of monsters. I haven't seen too many monsters.
We have not seen too many monsters, and taking the opportunity right now to play the Wild Hunt Riders while the board was clean, ensuring that he's going to get both of them out of the deck. But that is met by 3 Witchers and a Horse, a story about Roach. A
story about Gwent over the last couple of months, I'm sure. Very, very popular inclusions in most decks. As many people say, thinning is winning. Both players trying to get cards out of the deck just to improve draws, but Wang's hand is actually looking quite strong. We may see a development of a Barbagazi or to perhaps proc any Death Wish that is played from here, of which there is really only one in the Arcaspore. Getting the Thrive units on the board also very important, as I'm not really sure how far either player is going to push here, but they have studied the deck list. This isn't going to catch Molegian by surprise.
Absolutely not, and Thrive units are really, really important. I mean, for cheap cards to have a really high ceiling, if played in a correct sequence, and something with the movement effect, I mean, knowing how these, knowing what Molegian's deck is, committing the Drowner, opting rather to maybe play a bronze card that can grow a little bit and get some extra points down the line, and the Dim and Light Longship coming down on the main melee row, and it's going to start to wear down its opponent.
Yeah, it gets you that extra value, especially against Erica's Queen that's going to have a lot of 1-point units. Of course, helps you develop that Bloodthirst, and a 5-for-5 that actually gives you this sort of reach on board is always worth being a little bit worried about here. It looks like the Cyclops is going to come down, throwing one of these riders over, but maybe realizing that he didn't actually have the bullet to put that ship down for good. Maybe deciding, might see, we're going to see the thinning here.
So the thinning play comes out, Roach joins the party as well, and that Drowner makes sure that that's 5 of a kind at 3 on the ranged row. I just want to also say, take a look to the left of the Glusty Warp. Here's a card that we don't necessarily see too often.
We're talking about Jermaine Picant.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Austri.
Oh, that's a card that I know that my boy Bebo Boop would like to see as well. The cows, baby, because those are just so delicious when it comes to Glusty Warp.
It's true. Trusty Glusty. Definitely going to the steakhouse tonight if Wanged gets his way. Croc looking to make the play here. Already has executed the ping, activating Bloodthirst, although there are no Pirate Captains in deck. Scald is going to do, one of the best bronzes in the game. Going to be discarding one of the discardables, Morkvarg, Skirmisher. Just stuff that tends to be, some of the best plays for Croc, developing points and thinning. And you may not have remembered this, but Coral also in this Croc deck, a superstar in most brand decks, but Molegion is a big fan of the thinning it offers as well. Both Coral and Burn a Brand still in the deck for Croc.
That's right, and that's why you see cards like the Dimeridium Shackles, things like Spores, Trophy Catches. These are not necessarily cards that they're looking to play. It's more cards that they're feeding to the discard mechanic.
And just the last play here was Cyclops into that Dim Moonlight Longship. I was looking at, I believe, the deck at the time, but we got that little turn history here.
That's another cool feature.
That's another cool feature. I could just leave this open, perhaps. I'll talk to the guys about it, but it doesn't seem.
No, but we want to see the beautiful Arrakis Queen.
We do. We want to see the beautiful Arrakis Queen.
Staring down her opponent, just waiting to unleash the fury of Arcaspor. That's another movie that's coming out.
Revenge of Arcaspor.
Revenge of the Arcaspor. The Witcher 4. Revenge of the Arcaspor.
Now we're down to the 6-card round here. On the blue coin, Wanged is going to decide how much farther he wants to push. Only a couple more opportunities. The lead, the points are very close together as Croc and Crate is able to just make a lot of tempo and a lot of setup at the same time. One of the reasons why Skellige is so strong. One of the reasons why we didn't think we were going to cast a lot of Skellige in this tournament.
Yeah, I'm actually quite surprised at the fact that they're letting it through, which is nice. It's a lot of confidence from the players themselves that their list can handle Skellige. I'm wearing my Skellige pin. Little shout out to the people who love Skellige. I know there's a few of you out there.
Matches the Blazer beautifully, by the way.
Thank you kindly.
As he gets developed here to help out the Arcaspor in the future.
And that Dimeridium Shackles actually, if you're stuck with it, it's not the end of the world because it can catch a Harpy Egg nice and clean. That could be some points that are not going to go the other way because that Harpy Egg could get some great points with, Cyclops, Griffin. There's ways to transfer those points into big gains.
Big gains, and we're not talking about tailpipes.
We're not talking about tailpipes. Ain't talking about tailpipes.
Bloodthirst activated on Donar. He's able to get that. He's able to meet that condition and get a nice, good chunk of value. 9-point with a 5-point ping removal engine. Removes engines. Just a really strong removal piece. Croc can always flex with Bloodthirst, as you always have that extra ping to work with.
Yeah, and this is really nice, going deep into round one. Usually it's a few cards and out, but it looks like they're really pushing here.
Here we go.
Jermaine Pecan bringing out the Moo Boys.
So this is going to make for an app. This is saying, Glusty Warp is going to get me the round here, and I'm going to need Glusty Warp to do it. Perhaps, but he is putting, he puts Molegion in the position to continue to play here. Very strong trophy catch. It doesn't get any better than that, really.
That was amazing.
I'll just quickly grab the tooltip for you there. It did move. This is a recently updated card. It's now a 4-point card, and this special card just is so good against a lot of strategies in early round one when you're developing Witchers, developing a lot of these long rounds.
There it is, 2 earth-shattering points from Larry the Arcaspor, making a thunderous entrance into the battlefield, and I would just pass. That is just too intimidating to really. I'm speechless.
Well, I mean, the decision is made here that Wanged is pushing here. The Arcaspor is obviously. An amazing play and worth saving for the end here. But the most important thing is here that Glusty Warp is going to be eating a lot of units on the board. There's already 5 1-strength units on the board, which will convert to 10 on Glusty Warp and also remove a point from Croc on Crate 4. But that's not all. All those cows are replaced by drones right after that. So it is going to be extremely hard for Wanged to lose this. But Molegion is also holding the Commander's Horn, which is a lot of points. The lock isn't going to make a huge difference, and he does have a skirmisher, which is going to be really hard to see play. So, Molegion really wants to make Wanged pay for this round. He wants to see a big piece. He still can develop the Crones. He can still maybe even safely play a Cyclops if it gets him there. And the drones from the Arrakis Queen alone might actually be it. So the Glusty Warp, likely the last play we'll see, as more and more, and the ping from Arcaspor there, actually making another morsel for Glusty Warp to eat up later.
Well trained. It's all about, how to train your Arcaspor. It's easy. No problem. Given that Glusty Warp, just another little snack for him to munch on. And it could hit the board, but they could pass, and then that would be just like a cow's opinion.
A cow's opinion.
It's a moot point. It's a moot point. It's like a cow's opinion.
Can you tell that we've hung out a lot, my friends?
It's like a cow's opinion.
All right, my friends. At this point, oh, the commander's horn. Sound the horn. Can I get some horns in the chat, my friends?
But check that out. Now, suddenly, as you can see over here, Lambert's been boasted up to 4, so that's one less snack to eat, but there's still plenty of food for Glusty Warp to make a significant impact. The 11-point deficit can be laughed at, especially because of the the Arrakis Queen drone ability, the passive leader ability of just replacing everything that's gone with more points. And obviously, Weavis is another option, but I'm thinking this is a
Weavis would have to be played with the drones to actually overtake the points at this point, and that's like playing. Oh, it's gonna be Glusty. He paid the golden price. Spiders, just like from Challenger #1, if you remember, 1 spider, 2 spider, 3 spider.
But look at that
on the board.
And we can see right now Maleejan's hand is looking very bleak. 2 points, a 3-point lock that does pretty much nothing for him over here. This is likely where he kind of has to.
It's hard to make another play here unless you know that you're fine holding on to your last card here, because you know it's going to force out Weavis, and even potentially, if Maleejan maybe wants to put this on a bad card, it could actually get charged as a leader. Now, we know that's not the case here.
That's right.
But it does. Well, hold on. It ties the game. It'll be tying the game with the Croc Ping, right?
So the 3 points from potentially using just throwing away that 3-point shackles with the leader ability.
Here it comes. He's raising the price of this match. And he's going to play the Skirmisher and actually say, you know what, if you want to get out, you have a chance, my friend, because the option here to play just to compete with the Skirmisher, not really knowing what is left in the hand here. I mean, Croc on Crate happy to keep the card in hand after seeing the Glusty Warp be played here. High price to pay here on the blue coin here for Wanged.
I suspect that this is going to be a pass, mainly because you've already used your Glusty Warp, which is a big late game play. That might be one of your finishers. Now, what do you have in terms of generating points? It might actually just be the 3 Crones. You might want to be playing now to collect them, draw some cards, and maybe that's your way out.
Croc on Crate takes the round, now in full control, can bleed if he wants. There's Berna, there's Heim, awesome card inclusion from Maleejan, and a Pirate Captain. Skirmisher with Berna in hand is pretty decent, and Heim is is a really critical card in the Monsters matchup. Usually you can hit big, that's why Maleejan included it. However, Wanged's list is a little bit more lower to the ground. So
well, there it is. I mean, he tosses away the egg, he tosses away in order to maybe look for those big gold cards, complete the Crone trio there. He found, if you take a look over here, he's found Brewis.
And he's got to play. He's going to have to play Brewis or the Arrakis Nest here to take.
It's an Arrakis Nest play here without Glusty Warp. Those points, it's just 4 points. I don't think there's really a whole lot more that you're going to be doing. I mean, taking a look at the list, you know, he still has the 3 charges from his leader ability. Should he need to just drop down a Griffin, for instance, you can feed it one of the drones that Arrakis Queen could generate, so that's not so bad. There they are.
These draws right here. Oh, now I think maybe the Barbagazi might be an option for a mulligan, but the Griffin sees value on the drones all day if drones are allowed to exist, of course.
No, I mean, that looks like probably might be as good as you can get. Oh,
Griffin
opting to toss away the Griffin.
Oh, but would have been so good with that Ancient Foglet.
I think that might have.
There's the list. The players are in control of this view right here, so we're seeing some quick views at the deck. Harpy Egg, and so Harpy Egg and Ancient Foglet with Brewis that could be potentially building up to have multiple consumes.
So this is going to swap or change around a little bit of the sequencing of how you want to make sure you want to play those Crones, because they get better for each one you play. And now you want to make sure that you're at least eating the Foglet, eating the Harpy Egg. The Harpy Egg has the Death Wish of spawning a Harpy, and the Ancient Foglet will come back as a 5-point boosted unit. So now you want to at least eat both of them, meaning that you're playing the Weavis at least second.
Here comes the Scald. We'll be discarding the Skirmisher likely here, or the Pirate Captain in this case. It's going to be the Skirmisher to draw into Herald Houndsnout. Not too bad right there. Also, I want to point out, key card in Moligion's hand, Geralt Professional. Skellige can find this number quite easily. Brewis might actually end up being a very, very tall unit to destroy. And of course, with 3 Crones, we know we're going to see a big boost eventually as well. So the Geralt Professional is likely going to get a lot of value. The Heim, however, may not.
No, that's a card that might actually not be as impactful as it could be. And again, looking at the Herald there, the horn has been used, so you know those 3 skulls are going to be killed off to do damage.
There's Coral being drawn here. 2 Pirate Captains in the hand, likely 2 Pirate Captains in the graveyard, unless, of course, he honestly believes Heim isn't going to get him the greatest value, but it's got to be better than the Pirate Captains.
This looks almost tailor-made. It looks too juicy to give up, not tossing those Pirate Captains, keeping an all-gold hand. No.
He did toss a Pirate Captain and Coral because there is no need to keep digging when all you have in your deck is a Spores and a Marauder. The Marauder would be actually terrible to draw, and the Spores, however, wouldn't be the Spores would be okay, but because there's likely going to be a reset. But with Geralt Professional, likely not necessary.
Now, if we take a look in the hand of Wanged over there, we have Manticore Venom. Damage 3 enemies by 3.
Not a common inclusion.
Not a common inclusion, but you could sort of, space out. That could have been protection against something like, there it goes.
There's that Manticore Venom, just going to get the 8 points of value, actually getting a little bit lower than normal, but outside of the Crones, I mean, you see them, if only they
were lined up properly.
Yeah, if only they were lined up. People really care about this. Like, people really care about Ordering of Crones. So now Wanged could be a fan favorite or not based on where he places these Crones.
Literally
Are you going to complete the artwork or not? Because definitely got to get to work. But this actually, it's not a crazy idea. Of course, if you want to play your boost last, you would be playing the damage first because you would like to eat these 2 Death Wish units for Brewis. But that Geralt Professional is going to make some magic happen for Molegion. I have a feeling.
Now, what's interesting over here is that if you ping those skulls, there's a good chance that you go ahead and it might connect with the Foglet. It might connect with, the 2 of them might actually just, you never know where they're going to end up, where the skull damage might hit the eggs, releasing some negative value, if you want to say, right? So the 5-point Harpy could be a godsend, but here he comes down. He's going to do 2 damage.
Now the Crones are charging up. Of course, every Crone played makes the next Crone better by either 2 points in this case or an additional consume. Really cool cards. I love these cards so much. I think that these kinds of trios are absolutely okay with me, as Croc is now looking to make a play here. The Pirate Captain is likely not going to see Bloodthirst value because it's really hard to commit that damage. It's possible we might see Crack Heim on the Crone to actually get the value on the Heim.
Also interesting to note that, Wangan knows that there's a potential Geralt Pro in Moligion's hands. So
players do know the lists.
Where that buff goes from the Crone is going to be exceptionally important. It's going to take a lot of thought here to make sure that it's out of range of extra damage from Croc, out of range of potentially catching a skull and maybe connecting that way. So this is going to be, there's going to be a really tight space for that boost to go.
He's going to be playing the Pirate Captain with no deploy effect here, opting to not use Herald Houndsnout on the skull due to the fact that it could actually connect with the Ancient Foglet and generate points for Wanged, and that's not really what you want to do.
No, typically you do not want to generate points for your opponent.
No, typically you don't.
As per the rules.
As per the rules.
Well, that's actually not in the rule. That's on the rule book. You can be nice sometimes. If anyone out there who queues into me on ranked wants to donate me points, I accept them.
Well, I feel like
to the People Fund.
Wanged definitely donated points in the tie game, I think. So
yes,
it's not unheard of. Here comes Brewis, going to trigger both of these Death Wishes, spawn 2 spiders on the back row here.
Speaking of triggered, by the way.
Huge play right there.
Speaking of triggered, not in order.
Not in order. Sorry.
It's okay.
Had a chance to really have a comeback here with the fans, I'm sure. As there's at least a damage unit for some Heim value. Croc, just the 8-point Brew is just 1 point shy of being a devastating play for Geralt Professional, but we still have to see where this boost is going to go on Weavis. He's just going to go for the 6-point Professional.
See, one of the options there was you could have actually
He's got to get that Heim value, right?
Yeah, but there could have been an option where you did damage another skull to bring it down to 6 off the 8, if that was an option, in order to get it to that multiple of 3 range. And look, right out of range. Geralt Pro no longer something to be scared of.
Well, this turned around in a hurry, my friends. Looks like Wang has one hell of a lead. That Heim is just not going to be enough right there. This is a huge breakthrough moment for Wang. And what was we talked to Molegian before the game. He knew that the Ericus Queen list was probably the best chance for Molegian to slam down on this Conquest format, not let this through. Unfortunately, it has gone through.
Right, and like we said, I mean, what did it take? It took Glusty Warp in round one, and where are your other outs later in the game? It came down to the Crone's trio and some pretty nifty bronzes in order to come down and actually generate enough points, get the drones out there, and create some value.
He made him pay for it too. He made him pay such a high price in that round one, and ultimately just doesn't be able to get there. Those Crones really did a great job. The Crone Brewis never hitting 9 points on the Death Wish, triggering both the Harpy and the Ancient Foglet. The Skulls, Herald didn't really get the great value that you want because you're trying to play that maybe with more with Commander's Horn, also as a counter to some anti-row strategies like the Lacerate that we've seen Wanged pepper through his deck list, as Wanged puts a crown on the Queen, Ericus Queen, for the first time. Well, what am I talking about? Consume was huge in Vintage Gwent, but this is cool. Ericus Queen just being probably one of the more interesting lists. The Philovander list on Molegian's side, Ada list also interesting. Wanged now match point, and he's going to get to do it with Morvran Shoop.
And just another note on the Ericus Queen, cards like Ancient Foglet, you know, cards that are just so devastating to the when they catch random damage. You know,
and they're anti-control, right? You can't really do anything to them without making them better.
Harpy Egg as well was one of them. But if that Ancient Foglet just eats 2 of that random damage, it negates that 2 damage and comes back with with 5 on the other way. So
this is why I think that Berserk effect is going to be really cool for Skellige in the expansion, because it's kind of like sort of another sort of anti-control. It's like, yeah, you can damage my units, but I'm going to get a lot out of it.
We're going to see Shoop again.
It's going to be a Morvran Mirror. This is what I expected to see last game, but now we're going to be able to see the Morvran Mirror, Shoop versus mid-range. Molegian just trying to get a win with this Morvran list to at least take this to a 5-game series. Wanged is positioned quite well at this point, as he is able to also go second, which is huge.
Tossing away that Witcher off the second mulligan over there, and now we find that Molegian with attack advantage, and in terms of proactive play, there it is again. We've seen this before. That's the Knight.
You always want to drop that Nilfgaardian Knight as soon as you possibly can, unless, of course, you're trying to play with Leo Bonhart, as you will be able to have that option. Quick answer here, Assassination play. If you just missed it, it happened so fast. Assassination just cleanly dealing, saying, your 6-point card for 5 provisions, 6-point card for 9 provisions. And here comes the Witchers and Roach, as we have seen.
So another possible answer with an Witcher for Witcher. And I just want to take another note over there, Traherne in Wanged's hand.
We're going to have to talk about that again?
Well, it's always such an exciting play. It's been, he hasn't really whiffed that much in this tournament. He's been representing so much, 4 points on the board, really that's all he's committing to your win for that round, but it's just all that extra value of getting rid of these key cards, things like Commander's Horn.
Oh yeah, well Nilfgaard's all about that reverse carryover, putting stuff in your deck, reducing cards in your hand to 1, like Shylard's playing Tailbot, and of course being able to just mess with your opponent's strategy in general, Traherne removing pieces. And there's an early pass here in the mirror. It's a lot of points to make up here. The Witchers will help.
That's a good play. I mean, it puts you within 1 small card, which could be the Infiltrator here. Oh, Traherne.
Oh, he's going to go for the Traherne. Oh, you're catching something. Good night, Unicorn, I think. Sarad also represents a lot of points and also changes the game for Letho, but...
This is a tough call. What do you take here? Is it the Unicorn? No, he's going
to be Sarad. Yeah, I think that's... I mean, they're both good, right? It was, you had to pick one of them. They're both good in different situations. And there's the Infiltrator, a little extra play here. Definitely, Wanged has no intention of playing in the second round, just trying to go for a little bit of the strategy of screwing up the draws a little bit. There's the Unicorn, of course. We knew that was going to be drawn. Now, Molegian has a lot of stuff to get out of the hand and an Infiltrator that could be coming back in the hand. His own or the opponent's, we don't really know. Not great mulligans. Molegian, you can see out on his face, he's not really satisfied with this hand. There's the pass. He'll be able to take it cleanly with an Infiltrator here, and then we'll be going into round 3. Hopefully the mulligans are a little bit kinder. I'm pretty sure about the Infiltrator here.
And maybe drop this. And you could drop the Slave Driver if necessary. I mean, if you want to make more rooms for drawing better cards, you have the option.
Yeah, it's fine to take care of it. Otherwise, it'll just be a mulligan that is racked up in the mulligan charges that happen when you overdraw after 10 cards. But we do know that Peter Star Gwenlev and Hand Marvin's Blue Dream on the draw potential for more Legion. The Hand Marvin's Blue Dream, actually, I'll wait until this is over before I look at the graveyard, but we'll get to see some of the options and if it even comes up. Shoop already in hand for Wanged, so his hand is already looking pretty good. He knows he's playing against Vreemdi, so he's going to keep that Gimpy Gerwin as well.
That's going to look good. If he can
Wait, did he just immediately... Oh, I was looking at the wrong... Never mind. He is going to keep that Gimpy Gerwin. The hand looks strong on both sides. The Magni Division, probably a weak link on the Shoop side as well. The Lacerate likely going to catch a lot of value.
The Magni Division is... Magni Division could always just go ahead and eat a removal that otherwise could be picked up by a Chironex or something. I mean, if you want to catch it early, so it's going to put a timer on your opponent to answer it. Otherwise, there could be a lot of accumulated points that it's going to generate for you. So if you don't, it comes down, it boosts itself to 3, and then you have to make a decision soon. Do you want to kill it? Use your Chironex to kill it, wherein it's matched by a Chironex. It's a very subtle possible pressure play, but it's going to probably just pick up a lock off of Ox.
Absolutely. There's just a lot of great ways to deal with engines. We haven't seen a lot of engines actually in many lists. Nilfgaard's engines have always been very, very good. The Magni Division, very low commitment play, forces the opponent to make a decision. It's a strong Letho. Well, Letho only locks. Letho doesn't damage in this situation because Serret was put in the graveyard by Traherne. As far as Hand Marvin's Blue Dream, Mole Legion would be looking to perhaps grab Traherne on, well, I don't know if that would actually matter, but it might matter. What's Willem looking at? Willem has a chance to pull a Unicorn or Ox, so even if Mole Legion wanted to, do that, it's possible that, oh, I'm so sorry about that, guys. It's going to be a Sierra that's going to be pulling. He got the graveyard view. I'm just checking again for... Yeah, the Blue Dream is not going to see a ton of value here for Mole Legion.
Well, he could. It depends on when the Chironex is played. You meet the Chironex with your own Chironex. You pick up the one off of the... there's going to be a certain amount of... You need some leeway of cards and a sequence of turns to do it.
It's the only thing to miss, actually. That is a very, very true flake.
So if, for instance, if Wanged comes down, plays his Chironex, it's going to be met by Mole Legion's Chironex, and then, you can always go ahead and Blue Dream that one out of Wanged's graveyard, and suddenly, your Unicorn has more value, your Chironex has more value.
Look at this, Ox coming down and actually not adding another lock to the board as to not actually improve any slave drivers that could potentially be in Wanged's hand.
Cheeky, but every point counts. Obviously, we've seen that today.
It's
just
true.
today.
Just today. We saw the tie, and we've seen some close finishes yesterday as well. Actually, the Erika's Queen win from Wanged in yesterday's game. Here comes Shoop. I'll talk about that later. This is always exciting. We will see the options of Hunter, destroy a random enemy, apply a random row effect, or boost all units in hand. Again, we might see the row effect. Wanged does like to see if he can high roll the Ragnarok, or a very decent. It is going to be the random row effect. The Dragon's Dream. At this point, as far as movement is concerned, this can only get 8 points with Prince Willem.
Yeah, there's not going to be that many points dedicated to it. Not to mention, some of those points are going to be rescued by the slave infantry.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that Dragon's Dream, as pretty as it looks, those Northern Lights up there, my friend, are not going to do that much damage.
It's interesting because Dragon's Dream, very strong card in the meta, usually if not countered, but this is not a deck that's running it as well, and Shoop would otherwise get 8 points off of a Fog, off Rain, off Frost, but actually may not get the same. It's really an average Shoop play.
But hold the phone. Hold the phone, because now this is going to force Mole Legion to play into the melee row. And what do we have right here, my friend? That is a Lacerate, so that it could pin him to the melee row to avoid the Dragon's Dream for a couple turns, improving that Lacerate.
It's true, and yeah, because he has to do that right now, and it'll make the Lacerate better. I feel like.
I mean, the boost there doesn't really matter.
He would probably just start stacking the back row. I think that he's probably able to put a limit on the Lacerate, and of course, Wanged's Lacerate on the other side, or sorry, Mole Legion's Lacerate on the other side, may end up getting similar value here.
So as the Dragon's Dream continues to burn in the back row, just waiting to explode.
Unicorn comes down buffing a Sierra, by the way. That was the last play that we were talking so much about that Dragon's Dream right there.
Well, I mean, who plays Dragon's Dream? The new card.
Fill in the blanks, my friends. Fill in the blanks.
Lots going on over here. I mean, Dragon's Dream, you know,
there's the villain play. Ox is going to be the pull and not
the Unicorn.
Was it the Unicorn? Was the other
Unicorn
pull there?
was the other. Yeah, let's go take a look. We can always go take a look.
It's true. It is there.
The Unicorn was the other option that could have been pulled there. So Chironix ain't going to have any friends to play with.
Once again, could make the difference, just like it made the difference in the last game where Sheldon Skaggs was pulled instead of the Chironix or the Unicorn. Which obviously made that a very low tempo play. Ox in this situation is only going to get the 5 points. Chironix would have been, or Unicorn would have been a completely different story, especially with a nice tall unit to dig into like the Asira.
Dragon's Dream is set to explode very shortly, and those 2 points, I suspect, as soon as it goes off, are going to be that the 3 points lost off the Ox are most likely going to be replaced by the Slave Infantry.
I have a feeling we might see Leo on the melee row here to destroy Ox. You get the value you're probably going to be seeking out, unless you could wait for Letho, I guess. But if you're planning on playing some melee row stuff, it's possible you might want to.
I don't think there's any rush to play it. That's an interesting play.
It's true. He had a chance to maybe bring some points back, but instead opting to play Vreemed as soon as possible.
I mean, it's 1 point lost.
It doesn't change a lot.
Well, it's a 1 point differential there, because if you wait for the Dragon's Dream to go off, the Ox goes down to 2 points. You could then go ahead and flip it. That does seem a little bit interesting. And again, some might say, it's only 1 point. Like, you know what? Who cares? But we had a draw not too long ago.
It's true. I mean, I have found that games are much closer since Gwent made its changes in October, and even more so in January. The games just are very close. It really comes down to what you're committing and when you're committing it. A lot of times, if you're spending resources to win rounds and you don't actually draw into your conditions later on, it can be tough. But both players, once again, we have seen these Morvran lists just have no problem assembling very, very good hands.
And this could be answered with a Gimpy Gerwin and with the double bodies over there. I don't think there's really much else that can be done, but instead we're going to see Chironix, and this is where Chironix on Chironix crime is about to be witnessed.
So Chironix will get full value as well, but Chironix is losing value because the Unicorn's on the board. There isn't a lot to dig into, but boy, would you want to Blue Dream the Chironix here. You can't Blue Dream Shoop. Shoop is doomed. So there is that.
So I'm suspecting that this is likely an option where the Chironix is going to come down, trade with the other Chironix. He's going to use his ability to keep the Unicorn alive.
That's right.
That's going to give him the option to play Blue Dream next turn to pick up the Chironix, protecting the Unicorn for another 8-point potential play from their own card. That's just off. You're just stealing from him. It's like you're stealing his glove and slap him in the face. That's rude.
That's
just rude.
That is rude. I don't think that that's good sportsmanship at all. Gimpy Gerwin getting full, his full value, as you're going to see. Gimpy Gerwin has seen intermittent play. Cam's put him in a lot of his lists, but intermittent play throughout the tournament. But this is exactly what you're looking for in this matchup, in this mirror. The Slave Infantry, you know it's going to be there. You know it's probably going to happen, especially when you're playing Vreemed.
Yeah.
You just have those options there. So
Malegion, it's worth noting, plays 2 of the Slave Infantry, so there was an option for Gimpy Gerwin to really hit a home run over there, getting all 4 bases. But unfortunately, once the Vreemed comes down, that usually sounds the bell that there's no more Slave Infantry in the hand.
Here comes another Chironix, likely going to dig into the Asira to get as much value as possible. Leo Bonhart will connect with Ox or Letho or Serret. Really, it's really up to Malegion, I suppose. And then there will be a final Lacerate to settle the score here. And that score is quite disparate at this point. But keep in mind, Winged still has all 3 Morvran charges, as well as a slightly better Lacerate on top of that.
I mean, in terms of cards that could be bigger than the 5, right? That Ox represents for the Leo to connect with. There's not really all that much.
He's got to play Letho first, too, right? You have to.
Well, I mean, because you're suspecting that what are you really, I don't want to say what are you really losing here, but he's most likely assuming that there's a Lacerate in Malegion's hand, so he's probably going to be playing onto the back row there in order to just limit the potential damage that Lacerate can pull off.
He's playing the Lacerate there. Wanged pretty comfortable, I guess, with where his points are going to be when Letho and Serret finally touch down, knowing that Malegion is, if he's putting him on Lacerate and Leo, you just say, well, he'll take the 8-point Lacerate and the 9-point Leo. Going to take the 8-point Leo and hold on to that Lacerate.
So this means that it's going to be Letho coming down. Slamming some points down.
Lasseret's going to get 8 points here. And Seret is going to be able to connect for another 8 points. All 3 charges on Morvran. This is going to be another close one, my friends.
This is going to be fun. I don't like to count. NA math, not my thing.
We get some NA math in the chat.
Sometimes you just like to you drop some little nuggets into chat just to get them going crazy.
So we have 11 points, 14 points on Seret right here. It is going to be a 1-pointer, my friends. Wang It is going...
Okay. Now,
we just talked about the 1 point.
What did we say about that 1 point about with the slave infantry changing? Sorry, I'm just speechless.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about this, but what we're going to say is that Wang It is going to be going to the finals. He is officially going to be going to Challenger number 5, which will be taking place later this year. Molegion was able to pick up a win with his amazing Philavandra list, but otherwise falling to the Erika's Queen list. The double Shoop and Bruver and Morvran. A nice handshake and GG from the opponent here. Molegion is able to pick up a little bit of extra cash with that win, 25% of that $3,000 stake, and he's going to go home and, I suppose, prepare for the Challenger qualifier, as that's coming up very, very soon. But we're going to be seeing more of Wang It, of course, today and later. But yeah, we saw a tie. We saw a 1-point difference. Wang It also scraping by in a 1-point difference win of yesterday. I mean, the Erika's Queen list has shown that it's here to play. It's here to play.
I mean, speaking of high stakes, 4 cows got eaten by Glustewa.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
Got him.
Let's leave on a high note. Paul Burgess standing by with the winner, Wang It number 1. Let's see how he felt about that matchup.
All right, that was incredible. Winning by 1 point. How did you feel just before winning?
恭喜你，你哪个这个最后一场你觉得怎么样？就是1点。
最后一场非常的危险。最后我手上有一张6点的利伯人，我猜对手可能手上有一张雷欧没出，所以我就先藏一手，这样的话能够让他的雷欧小一点。也就是靠这一点才赢下这一局的。主要还是第一局那个撕牌库的那张金卡，帮我撕了对面一张很好的牌。
That was a really dangerous moment, actually, and I was thinking a lot of time what to do. And there was a moment where there was a difference with 6 points, and I was thinking which card to choose. And actually, it turned out really good, in fact, in the end.
Well, it's your first Open coming into the tournament. What were your expectations? Did you expect to go so far, or were you maybe scared a little bit, didn't know what to expect?
这是你第一次来昆特白公开赛，你公开赛以前有什么样的想法？你觉得？
我以前在中国也经常解说昆特牌的比赛，但是都没有参加过嘛，所以我也是比较非常渴望来参加这个比赛的。
I was trying back in China. I was trying to get to the tournament, but I didn't actually made it. So right now, I was trying to do my best, and it happened.
You were also taking a little bit more time to decide in the last 2 matches to what deck to pretty much choose. Like, what was going through your mind at that time?
这场比赛你是很长时间选择哪个套牌？你是到底是什么选择什么？
是血蜘蛛女王那一场嘛，因为我的血蜘蛛是我比较弱的一个卡组，而且对手的卡组都比较克制我的血蜘蛛女王，所以我都一直在考虑什么时候上这个女王。我想了一下，可能对上奎特的话，应该会比较有胜算。我猜他后手会上奎特，所以我就先直接上了女王，成功的跑掉，也是运气很好。
I knew that my monster deck was actually a bit targeted by Malaysian's decks, so fortunately there was some luck in his bans, and I made it, thanks to this light.
All right, thank you for the interview, and back to the casters.